Ladies? Shitim Goram Anvamagvishogrinan Tataksadyo Vimucheta Yadvibhiteti Swayambayam Apana, being entangled, samshritim, in the hurdle of birth and death, goram, too complicated, yat, what, nama, the absolute name, vivasha, unconsciously, grinan, chanting, tata, from that, sadhya, at once, vimucheta, its freedom, yat, that which, bibeti, fears, swayam, personally, vayam, fear itself. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated message of birth and death can be freed immediately even by unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Please repeat. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated message of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Purport, Vasudeva, or Lord Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the supreme controller of everything. There is no one in creation who is not afraid of the rage of the Almighty. Great asuras like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others who are very powerful living entities were all killed by the personality of Godhead. The Almighty Vasudeva has empowered His name with the powers of His personal self. Everything is related to Him, and everything has its identity in Him. It is stated herein that the name of Krishna is feared even by fear personified. This indicates that the name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. Therefore, the name of Krishna is as powerful as Lord Krishna Himself. There is no difference at all. Anyone, therefore, can take advantage of the holy names of Lord Shri Krishna, even in the midst of greatest dangers. The transcendental name of Krishna, even though uttered unconsciously by the force of circumstances, can help one obtain freedom from the hurdle of birth and death. The verse again, apana samshitim goram yannama vivishogrinan tatak sadyo vimucheta yadviveta swayam bhayam. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Satarane. Fear is the final absorption in material existence. Because of misidentification with its gross and subtle body, everyone is fearful. And the greatest fear, according to Bhagavad Gita, is not only death, but it's also taking birth in a lower species of life. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Neha vikramana shosti pradyavayo navidite swapam apyasti dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That on this path, there's no loss of diminution, and even a little advancement can protect one from the greatest danger. So Prabhupada says the greatest danger is to wind up in a lower species of life. One time, as I mentioned many times, Prabhupada was coming back from a doctor's appointment in Los Angeles, and he passed by a movie theater, and the title of the movie was, Is There Sex After Death? So Prabhupada, when he came back, he gave a lecture, and during the lecture he mentioned that he had seen the title of the movie. He didn't personally go in to see it, but he saw the title. Is there sex after death? At that time, most of the devotees were going out and distributing books or in Harinam and preaching. So Prabhupada said, when you go out today, when you meet people, you should assure them that they don't have to worry. There is sex after death in 8,400,000 species of life. And if they hear that there's sex after death, they won't be afraid of death anymore. So everyone is afraid because they don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're going to do there. The popular versions of life after death are various. Some of them are pleasant, some of them are less pleasant. None of them are very accurate. And they're all based upon people's more or less imaginations. And therefore no one's really sure what happens after we leave this body, where we're going, what we're going to do there. Is it true that when you leave your body, there's one man there and sitting on a big chair and he judges you and either throws you into the darkest burning fire, or he gives you a little harp and horn to play, that you play eternally? Is that what it is? Or you enter into the light, you see all your elders there, they're all in the light. No one knows, and therefore everyone is fearful. But by chanting Hare Krišna in this age, we can begin to understand reality. We can understand that we're not this body, that there's a supreme controller, Krishna, and that Krishna is quite pleasant. He's quite nice. We can experience that at first. And that there's nothing really to fear about leaving this body, because at every moment the body's changing. So we're not leaving the body's leaving us at every moment. So we never wish the body, every moment we're taking another so-called birth, but no one's singing all day long happy birthday to ourselves. Nor do we lament over the loss of our body. Our body's different from yesterday, but we don't go and cry, today I lost my body from yesterday. It was such a nice body. I had such a beautiful 2-year-old body, and now I have this body, and to make it less attractive, oh, if only I could get my 2-year-old body back. And of course, Krishna is so kind, he will give us a 2-year-old body back, because that's what we want. And Lord Jesus Christ says, what profiteth a man if he gains the entire world, but he suffers the loss of his eternal soul? Therefore it is said that Tyaktva sadharmam charnam bhujam harera bhajana pakvo tato yadi yatra kvabhadrama buddham mushakim kovarta apto bhajatam sadharma taha. That Tyaktva sadharma, even if one gives up his prescribed duties and he's unsuccessful, Tyaktva sadharma charnam bhujam harera, but he takes to the devotional service of Krishna, then what is the loss for him? And even if he gets everything in this world, but he doesn't take to Krishna consciousness, what is Krishna consciousness? What is his actual gain? tasyaiva heto priyate te kovido, that an intelligent person, after wandering up and down Brahma, from all the different planets in the universe, Ramhasa means he understands that actually everything is going to happen automatically in this world. Just like automatically we may endeavor for happiness, no one endeavors for distress usually, but distress comes automatically. In the same way, whatever happiness we were destined to achieve, that will also come naturally, automatically. So what we should endeavor for is to become Krishna conscious. That requires endeavor. Otherwise, everything is going to come of its own accord. But in Krishna consciousness, what we gain in Krishna consciousness is permanent. Permanent in the sense that however much we wake up our Krishna consciousness in any lifetime, then we can simply continue on in the next. Well, any achievement we get in this lifetime, any talent we develop, anything we do, will simply be lost at the time of death. And all we take is the sinful reactions or pious reactions that we acquired during this lifetime, and we get another birth somewhere, just to start all over again, just to go back to school and learn that 1 + 1 is equal to 2. We think we know it now, but when we leave this body and we come back again, we won't know anything. We won't even know our name. And if we come back as an ant, your ant work 3,400,000,000,000, 96 trillion, whatever it is. Not a very big distinction between the ants. But even if we come back to the human form of life, there's no big advantage. You have to go through all the miseries again. Imagine having to get baby teeth again, and they have to get yanked out, and you have to get big teeth again, adult teeth, and got to go to the dentist and start all over again. Therefore, even if we do have to start all over again, at least spiritually we shouldn't start from zero and stay here from now until time immemorial. And here it says that fear, what is fear? Besides fear of death. Vita Raga, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo veti tatvadaha, tyaktvadeham punarjanma, naiti mamiti sarjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again in this world, but attains my transcendental abode. So, Krishna has a different nature than our conditioned nature. We have a transcendental nature too, but Krishna's nature, he doesn't have a material body, all he has is a spiritual body. And therefore, one who understands that in truth by experience, then he doesn't have to take birth again in the material world, but he goes back to the spiritual world. Therefore, we're hearing about Krishna, how he took birth in Mathura, and he appeared with 4 arms, with a helmet and a lotus flower, etc. Full head of hair. He appeared as Lord Narayan. Now, ordinary people don't usually appear with a helmet at the time of birth, nor a club, lotus flower, disc, and mace. Oh, that's the club. It's his 2, lotus flower and the conch shell, and then we have the disc and the mace. Now, if someone appeared like that, we should definitely give them some respect, because the mother would have to be very tolerant. 6 months having a baby with a club in her womb, plus a helmet, I don't know what the helmet would fit in. So Krishna appeared like that. And after that, he was transferred to the Vrindavan, and he had amazing pastimes. All the way up to his disappearance, he displayed amazing things. When he opened his mouth, Mother Jasoda saw all the universes in his mouth, along with herself and a little bit of dirt in Krishna's mouth. Now, we may accept that, we may not accept it, we may think it's just mythology. But do we think that Vyasadeva, who had compiled all the Vedic literature, billions of verses he had put into order, was interested in writing his final work on mythology? And if we don't accept there's such a thing as Vyasadeva, then how can we explain this elaborate Sanskrit verses? Did some monkey write them in a typewriter? How to explain Krishna's philosophy that the body's changing, but the self is not changing? How many learned professors at the university are explaining that nowadays as the most essential part of knowledge? So a little bit of use of our intelligence, we can understand it is not mythology, it's reality. And the fact that Krishna mentions that fear personified is afraid of him, fear personified is Yamaraj. And everyone's afraid of Yamaraj. Everyone's afraid of death, having to leave this body, what's going to happen afterwards. After all, practically all our arrangements in modern society are to prevent death. One devotee told me when he was at Soho Street in London, he decided he was living in the Soho Street temple, and he decided he was going to leave the temple and blew. So he walked out, and when he walked out, he saw two homeless people. They were fighting with each other. Finally, one of the homeless persons took out a knife, big knife, looked like a sword, and he punctured the other homeless person many, many times. He looked like a sieve. But a helicopter came to save him, the homeless person. Now, generally, we value life so much in modern society that we'll spend thousands of dollars just to save a homeless person. We won't give him a dime to eat when he's living on the street, but to save him from death, because it's so fearful death, that the government will spend thousands of dollars and fly in a helicopter to try and save the person. Of course, they couldn't save him. Or as it's pointed out, that in India, if you die, if you're homeless on the street, no one cares for you. But after you die, then people will throw money on you. The reason why they throw money on you is that way you can afford a burial, a cremation. Because at least they have enough sense that if you get cremated, then you don't have to remain as a ghost, come back, hover over your gross body. But if you're cremated, there's nothing to hover over. So you leave, and you go on to your next destination. So in India, at least they have some knowledge, some sense that it's not a good idea to become a ghost, to be attached to your gross body after death. In the Western world, people are so afraid of death that even if you're practically dead, you're just ready to leave your body. They put you on a life support system costing millions of dollars, and you're there for sometimes years just to keep your breathing. So they have an artificial lung, keeping your lungs breathing. They have an artificial thing to keep your heart breathing. You're unconscious, you're in some kind of coma, but they're so bewildered that they try to keep you in that body. Although you're trying to get out, they won't let you go. And of course, during the last pandemic, then even people who are healthy, they try to get rid of. So sometimes they spend millions of dollars to get rid of you. To keep you alive. And sometimes they make millions and billions of dollars to get rid of you. So you never know what they're planning, what they're trying to do. Of course, for themselves, they never want to get rid of themselves. It doesn't matter how old they are. But for others, if it's profitable, then they get rid of you. One way or the other. They make money, keep you on a machine for years and in a coma, and they make money, at least the last pandemic. So much money if they give you drugs, the drugs are so expensive. With one drug you can probably buy a small house. So they make money from that, and then when they get rid of you, they make money from the government for putting on something like a ventilator. In any case, it's simply a product of ignorance. They don't know they don't know about the laws of karma, they don't know about the soul, they don't know about anything. And therefore, as Maharaj Yudhisthira said, although they don't care about other people leaving, they think they're going to be here forever. So that's the most amazing thing. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti amalayam shesha stavra icchanti kemascharya matakparam. The most amazing thing is that every day they see so many living entities, they're entering into the jaws of death, but those who remain behind, they think they're going to be here forever. Therefore, they don't mind doing any abominable thing in order to gratify their senses, thinking that they're going to enjoy their senses forever. But when the time of death comes and the Yamadutas come to take them away, they're quite surprised. One nurse said that often when people are dying, from her experience, they'd look up and they're in great fright, pointing to, someone there that no one else could see except for them. Even Stalin, his daughter, said that the time of death was pointing to some people or something that was coming to take him away. So that's fearful. They're in ignorance. They think, I'm going to heaven. The pearly gates are waiting for me. And then suddenly they see these horrible people coming, not very pleasant people, coming to take them away, and they don't know where they're going. And it's pretty clear it's not going to heaven. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is not an alternative, many alternatives. As I said before, when Vaishesika Prabhu would be distributing books, he'd ask people, or he'd tell people when he met them, he said, you look very spiritual. And they said, of course I'm spiritual. People aren't religious, but they're all spiritual. And he said, what spiritual activities do you do? So they'd say something, well, I play golf. I knew you were spiritual. People have this idea what spiritualism is, what reality is, but it's all wrong. Therefore, it's up to the Hare Krišna movement to give some real knowledge through this transcendental literature so that people can engage in Krishna consciousness and gradually get free from fear. And that fear is manifested because it's all right, we're attached to this body, which is our basic attachment. But it deepens, as Prahlad Maharaj said, Yanmai tunadi grihamedi sukham hi tucham kandunyanmeda iva tara dukkha dukkam triptyanti te something, I forget, bhajam, that Yanmai tunadi, actually let's start the other one. Pumsa striya maituni griha evam. Pumsa striya maitunadi grihedi griham. That basically the attachment, the strongest attachment we have in the material world is between male and female. Now, nowadays it appears that they're attached to everything. Men are attached to men, women are attached to women, they're attached to animals, whatever. But the basic principle is, I am Tarzan, you are Jane. I am the controller, you're being enjoyed. That's basically, it doesn't really matter what it is. live body, dead body, whatever. I'm an enjoyer. Pumsa striya maituni bhavani etam. Actually, then maitunadi grihamedis to come to chum. That the basic principle of material existence is the attachment between male and female. Yan maitunadi grihamedis to come hitu chum, but it's considered to be quite insignificant. So much advertisement, so many books, so much literature, so much about it, but ultimately it's tuchava. It's insignificant. It's like Torah. It's like rubbing your two hands together to relieve an itching sensation. But because it's advertised so much, and people actually believe that there's nothing else beyond that. And pumsa striya maitunadi grihe. Then the result of that attachment is that ato griya kshetra satapti vetara janasya moho yam ahang mameti. The result of that attachment is that one needs apartment. Previously they needed some land to grow the food, to feed the family. Then they needed some animals, cows and things like that. And everything becomes very complicated. House, children, land, buildings, etc. And what does it do? What are you actually increasing? Ahamameti, one's false ego. Gets stronger and stronger. Because after all, even if I have, like King Nariga, he had millions and millions of cows. But what does it mean we have millions of cows? It's just an idea. How much could he actually take care of the cows? And even if you have like millions and billions of dollars in the bank, so what? What does it do for you? You just look at the bank account and feel good? What is the actual control you have? Any moment they can, just like in Zimbabwe, or in my own experience in Peru, when I went there the first time, there was something called the Peruvian peso. And one peso was equal to $1. And that year when I left Peru to go back to America, then there were 3 million pesos to $1. You had to provide 3 million pesos to get $1. So when I came back, they decided to take away because 3 million, you had to print out notes, which were really big. So then they scaled it down, took out some zeros from the notes. And there were 3 new Peruvian pesos, soles. Actually, they changed the name to soles, son, to $1. And by the time I left again, at the end of the next year, it was again 3 million soles to $1. So you may think I've retired, they're going to give me 100,000 soles for my retirement fund. I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be happy. And by the end of the year, your 100,000 soles isn't even worth a penny. How much can you live on a penny? I went doing book distribution one time on a bus in Bolivia, and I collected, I forget how many millions of Bolivian pesos I collected. I came back, I found out it was only worth $1 the whole day. Even Driver Dakamart, he collected millions and millions of Bolivian pesos in Dakshin. It was only worth $20. His whole Dakshin for 50 devotees or something. So we think I have it made, I have all this wealth, I have all these possessions, but it's all taken away at the time of day. We have nothing. Not only we can't take away our body. We're just standing there as a naked spirit soul. And if we're not going back to the spiritual world, we're standing there in a subtle body, being dragged out, or being pushed out, or being flown out by the super soul. Anyhow, fear is good, because if he wasn't fearful, then we wouldn't make any progress. We just stay around here. Like in the lower planetary systems, in the Nagaloka, for instance, there's no sun. So people don't know what time is there. Everything is illuminated by the jewels on the heads of the Naga serpents. So they don't know if it's day and night, because it's always day because of the illumination. And they don't know how old they are and when they're going to leave their body. Therefore, they're not afraid of death, but death comes anyhow. And it's always a surprise. Therefore, fear is good, because with fear, then we can act, as Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, that amadidvam ninikunadvat paramat, amadidvam adambivam ahimsa shanti arjavam acharya pasanam socham styriam atma vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha nudarshana. The understanding of the problems of birth, death, old age, and disease. So birth, death, old age, and disease, they're not our enemy, they're our friend. Because Prabhupada said, without the inconvenience of birth, death, old age, and disease, no one would have any impetus to make progress in spiritual life. If we were living in the heavenly planets or in the lower planetary systems, then we wouldn't worry about old age, disease, and death. Because the demigods don't die, for instance. They don't grow old. They don't become diseased. And practically they don't take birth. When the demigoddess, she doesn't get pregnant except for her last year. And then the birth is immediate. There's no problems in birth. But when they leave their bodies, when they leave the heavenly planets, it's quite unpleasant, coming back to the earth planet again. In any case, they don't worry about those things because no one grows old. There's no problems in the heavenly planets for the most part. But here, we see ourselves, this body growing old, and therefore we start having to make plans for going somewhere else. And if we're fortunate enough, we'll know where to go and how to get there. And here it recommends chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, what do people chant? They put on makeup and pretend they're actually, when they're 90, they try to pretend they're 20. Is that going to save them? When the rabbit is cornered by the fox and it has no escape, and it closes its eyes and says, it's not there, it's not there. Does the fox go away? Oh, the rabbit says, I'm not there, so I shouldn't be here. Maybe I should go somewhere else. That doesn't matter how tightly it closes its eyes, the fox is still there. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions?
Hare Krishna. It says something in the text about the benefits of chanting the holy name unconsciously. And many times I heard that if they take a book, then they are guaranteed a human life. Well, can you say something about what's...
Yeah, that's a nice thought. Maybe, I don't, that's up to Yamaraj. That's up to their karma. It's not that, they get benefited undoubtedly, exactly how, what kind of karma, how karma works and what happens. If they take a book, give a donation, I'm sure they'll be eternally benefited. There's no doubt about that. Whether they get a human form of life, I can't guarantee. And even if I did, what's the difference? If I made a bet, I can't lose it. Unless you die and come back. Tell me, wait a second, I didn't come back as a human being. Or I came back as a human being, so I win the bet. I don't know, maybe. They definitely get benefited though. It's probably maybe the only beneficial thing from the spiritual point of view that they've done in their whole life. In any case, they'll get another chance sometime, if not in the next lifetime, to take another book. Maybe they even will read it sometime. Anything else? Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.